Good evening. I'm just going to go over the SPY game plan for tomorrow in case you're trading 0DT options. This is what I'm seeing on the setup. If you watch the IWM video, I go a lot more in depth than what I'm seeing. And for the most respects, a lot of that still applies to this video. So I highly suggest you go and watch it. And you see that's kind of where TradingView's kind of bugging out. So what do we see today? And you'll have to forgive my anchor VWAPs. I have them off of some bars, off of some lows, so just ignore those, please. We're seeing a gap up or another squeeze type movement, again, to the upside. This time we did actually hit our weekly expected move of 607.70. Just like, in the IWM video, I explained when you get up to these weekly expected moves, that is a opportunity that you need to take to manage your trades, especially you're in calls. So tomorrow's game plan, a lot like the IWM. Where's my paintbrush? I am expecting we have our daily expected moves. Let me go through that real quick of 602.71 to the downside and 610.85 to the upside. Oh man, 610's finally, popping back up on the map. It's finally back up here. And we do have our monthly expected move up here at that 618 level. Tomorrow I'm expecting some sort of gap to open up to the downside early in the morning, and possibly coming back down here to this 603.45 level before popping back up, possibly to this 610 level. We do have this tap box back from February that I'll go into depth in a little bit further into the video, but just for the game plan tomorrow, honestly, the MACD is pointed down a little bit. Your RSI is just a little bit overextended, so it'd be very healthy to see both of these guys cool off a little bit and create a dip buying opportunity, come down and test that center line. Of course, we're always going to be careful. You don't necessarily, this is not 100% going to happen. The market's crazy right now that anything can happen. So, especially on your 30-minute MACD, because that'll be your first indication if this thing does decide it wants to pop back up and then start to roll. So, of course, always be careful of that. I don't think we're quite there yet. That's, more than likely going to be the opportunity might be Thursday for some downside. But, honestly, tomorrow, I would love to see this thing come back down, test that 603. Even if it loses it, it comes back down here to that 602.70. You have a lot of structure right here. So you have, even if you see something, a crazy downside move in the upcoming trading sessions, this thing has, quite a bit of structure here to support it before it starts really rolling over. But, for me right now, I'm expecting this thing to kind of have a little bit of a cool off movement, whether we get down here and we test that 603.45 or even come down here to that daily expected movement before trying to come back up here from the tap box. So you can see that we actually were able to get back up in here, and we rejected it. We did peak a little bit above it, which is good. You want to see at least get take back half of that, if not a little bit more, before seeing that thing come down. We do have the bottom of the box here at 605.98, so even that could be a potential turn point or support point. So just want to be very careful. You do have this higher high up over here, kind of making me think that this thing is going to probably come down here to that 603 level before turning back up and possibly, very possibly, coming back up to that 610.85. Even in the price action in the morning, you want to be paying very close attention to, especially if you miss the first movement, you want to hold and wait. You can see something, if this is what does end up happening, you can see it come back up here and test the top of that box at 609.51 and actually have some pullback to that 607.74, which is right here at that weekly expected move here, before creating that structure to go higher towards the end of the day. Now, I will say that The GDP has me kind of worried. So, at this point, we're outside of our weekly expected move. It makes sense for us to manage the trade, take profits on our position, reduce risk exposure. You can leave runners, of course, if you get, if GDP's, good to go. You can always, hold some runners and hope that 618 hits. But right now, it's impossible to call a top. I'm not going to call a top. All I'm going to do is I'm going to look for my indicators, and they're going to tell me what the market's doing. Even if it's a crazy 1% moment, you're still going to get that heads up. You're going to see that MACD cross, get under that center line, try to pop back up, hit the top of that center line, and that's where you'll see some sort of let me back up just a little bit here, clean this up, where you can see, this thing come down here, actually break down to that middle line, pop up to that center line and fail that movement, and then you'll start seeing that roll, and you'll see some sort of head and shoulders, very possible, before some sort of center line break, because now you do have this gap right here, so you have to be very careful for that gap fill before you start to see movement lower, pending a 1% moment. But you were going to, as we get up here, you have to pay attention, because these divergences are going to start showing up on your MACD, and they will let you know. It's like, hey, risk on, risk off. We'll come to the 2-hour chart, and it's just been pretty much the same story over the past couple weeks. You'll see, a little bit of consolidation movement, and then boom, back up to the upside. And that's very possible. We're doing some consolidation. We came back down in that crazy moment where we swept that low, especially on the IWM, came down there and swept that low, and everybody's like, oh my goodness. So and then what do? We just immediately turn back around. So I do have some of these zones back down here. If we get some crazy movement, 592 to 591 is a pretty decent support zone. So, if we do get that crazy 1% moment where you miss those 0 DTEs that go 10x or whatever, and I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but we get that crazy 1% moment in GDP, you're still going to have that opportunity to riposte back up when it starts to roll, and then you'll actually start seeing that head and shoulders up here. But for right now, the market is very bullish, and I'm not trying to cause a top or call a top by any means. This is just what I'm seeing here on the daily, on the technical analysis, on the 2-hour, the daily, and the 30-minute. You are seeing good things on the MACD. We can get a good day again tomorrow. So just paying attention to what happens in the morning. The price action has been pretty predominant. This technical analysis has also been pretty predominant. These anchor VWAPs I am paying attention to. But like I said, we got decent structure in here. So if the market is going to roll, it's, it has not a lot of work, but it has some work to do. So, pending anything, any geopolitical or just political in general, anything crazy where you just, see that 1% moment, I think this thing is going to roll and let you know. But that's all for now, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give me a like if you think that you learned something. And before I do, let me go into the daily chart before I get way too far ahead of myself. And I just wanted to show you where I'm pulling these bars, where I'm pulling these tab boxes off of, or the bars, so that if you want to add that to your chart, you're more than welcome to. So, for at least the interim support, I'm pulling this, where am I at, 30-minute chart. I'm pulling it off this June 5th bar, where you actually see the support hold, and then you see that gap up, and then this guy over here. You have very, very good structure. Maybe to show a little bit better on the 2-hour chart, but you have very decent structure in this area, and this is kind of for the bears scenario, at least, as for some sort of very important resistance zone. So You just want to be, paying attention to the 602.72 level, anything in here, because you could see back here we failed that move, and we failed it pretty hard. The 2 hour turned over, and it just didn't stop. So I hope you guys have great luck tomorrow in trading, and I look forward to seeing you all in the morning.